Hi and welcome to my video. Today we're going to be doing some symmetrical symbol sand art. It's going to be inspired by Tibetan sand mandalas. The sacred art of sand painting comes from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. The sand mandala is an intricate focus of meditation which monks study in depth, sometimes for as long as 3 years. It is designed to guide those who aspire to enlightenment by purifying and healing their minds, transforming them from an ordinary mind to an enlightened mind. Throughout time and across cultures, humans make art to express deeper meanings. In order to understand this concept further, I want to have us focus on things that are deeply meaningful to us. So to start out, you're going to fill out this worksheet and brainstorm some ideas about symbols that could be meaningful to you. Then you're going to draw little simple shapes and designs that can represent these words. For instance, I just became a wife to somebody, and so I drew 2 circles and they represent rings. In the next box I drew a house because I recently moved into a new home. Then I drew a little dog collar because I want a puppy. In the last one, I drew little people because family is really meaningful to me. You don't have to use all your symbols, but make sure you use at least 3. Notice how my symbols are very simple. This is because I want to make stamps out of them, and it's a little hard if there's a lot of details to work in. Next, we're going to take a ruler and a pencil and lightly trace some lines going up and down on our piece of paper. We have to do this to make sure that our designs stay symmetrical. I did a little bit extra by making more lines, but you don't have to do this. Only 2 lines are necessary. You'll be given a little plate of glue, so you don't have to worry about this gunk slooping out. Next, you're going to take a tool and dip it in the glue and make little dots on your lines. This is a good place to start because it helps you map out where the symmetry is going to be. After you've got the glue down, you're going to want to grab any color that is available to you and sprinkle the sand on top of the glue. Notice how there's really not that much sand on my paper yet. In fact, you're probably not going to need that much sand for this whole project. As we do this project, you're going to notice that all the sand is going to be shared between you and everyone in the room. So think about how the Tibetan monks do their sand mandalas. They are doing it with multiple other people, and sometimes they're so close to each other they could bump heads. But they're very respectful towards each other, and I don't think that they're ever going to fight over who gets what color. Please always keep the caps on the sand when you're using them. I noticed when using the green one it was a little tough to come out, but if you take the cap off of the sand squeezer, then you'll make even more of a mess and we might run out of sand. Speaking of sandy messes, we have to get the extra sand off of our paper and pour it into the little bowl at your table. So without standing up, you're going to pick up your paper, kind of slightly bend it, and then funnel it down into the bowl. And I'll show you this more later. So here's a closer up view of me using the stamp. Notice how I'm pressing, trying to make all the glue stick, but it didn't get all the parts, so I took a little paintbrush that will be available to you at your tables, and I just filled in some of the gaps very carefully. Just take notice that parts of this video are sped up, so I'm not really shaking it that hard. You should be shaking it kind of like how you would a salt shaker. It's important to cover up all the glue because if you don't, it's just going to dry clear and you'll have no color there. Plus, some other colored sand might land there in its place. You should always be dumping the sand off of your paper so that you don't mix up any of your colors. Although if you're interested in mixing some of your colors onto the same glue, then that's an option too, but make sure you do it purposefully. Notice how there's really not that much sand on my desk. That's because I keep dumping it out and very carefully moving it from the desk to folding it into the bucket and pouring it out. I ended up using symbols that I didn't even draw on my worksheet, and I even added some extra details to make it more colorful and the way that I would want it. At one point you can see I made a little bit of mistake and splashed the glue, so I decided to make something of it and make that same mistake on the other side so that it was symmetrical. Originally, Tibetan monks used granules of crushed colored rock and precious gems to create mandalas. But today, white rock dyed with colored inks is preferred, similar to what the sand is that we're using for this project. When Tibetan monks create sand mandalas, they're performing a very sacred ritual. Every detail is meaningful. The placement, what the symbol is, and the history of it has significance to their culture. When the monks are all finished with their sand mandalas, they actually don't keep them on display for very long. Since ours is glued, ours will stay like this for a very long time. After each mandala is made, they're actually dismantled or taken apart. They're swept very specifically and then put into a jar. After the sand is collected, they pour it into a moving body of water. They want to detach themselves from the materials they use to make the mandalas. Even though this is just a short overview of a small part of what Tibetan monks do, I hope that you learned that there is always more to learn about people around you.